But then for Millennium Exile taking root, I really started watching an anime called Gurren Lagann. And that show is just so outright crazy on the face of it that I remember sitting there thinking, I was just so in love with the show, and I just had to sit there and think to myself, how did they pitch this? Like, it's just, when you look at the production as a whole, you just go, you don't have any idea how someone would have sold this to a studio and said, I think we should spend millions of dollars on this idea. Because on the face of it, it just sounds ridiculous. But it works so amazingly well, and it inspired me, because I was like, you can tell any story so long as you know what it is you're telling.
I think it's really interesting that your thought process, and I think the thing that differentiates the thought process that you had from a lot of other people was not who is that voice actor, or how did they make this, or where is this from, or whatever. Your question was, how did they pitch this? And it's interesting that even back in those days, you were thinking in a totally different way. That is, how does somebody get this made, not how did somebody else make this?
Yeah, I think that's because that's kind of where it actually starts. You know, it's easy enough to turn around and go, oh, how was this animated? But I think not the more important question, but I think the question that needs to come before it is, how was this sold to a studio in the first place? How did this get the green light? And I'm not asking that in a negative way, like, oh, how did this get onto air? It's more like I'd be very interested to have been a fly on the wall for that pitch meeting, because that's essentially where every IP starts, is the pitch meeting there, or where they want to either adapt the light novel into the anime, or the game into the anime, or decide to risk it all on an original production. And so I think that starting question is, for at least for me, it's far more interesting to start with that question.